When it's a wet, dreary day on the homestead, that opening shot was a sunrise from a couple of days ago. I started using those in my videos. If you like those, if you'd like to see more, let me know. They are, there's some awesome sunsets and sunrises in this area, which is the hills of West Virginia. I'm the Frugal Gardener for those of you here for the first time. And I garden in zone 7A on, well, my homestead is on 4.5 acres approximately, and I garden on about 1/4 of an acre. I'm showing you these chickens because this is going to be part of the series I just started. This is the full episode, episode 1 of a 4-part series of the Savvy Gardener. Yeah, okay. So this is one of the things I'm going to be conquering. Everybody knows by now that you can use eggshells for calcium, but there is something else that I'm going to be using from out of this chicken area as this series goes on. I'm not going to do that today, but this is just kind of a preview of some of the things that I'm going to be covering. So besides what you can do with your chickens, there's also going to be a segment on what you can do with your wood, or should I say your wood ash. Wood ash, not to be confused with potash, two totally separate things. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to show you guys 4 things that you can do with orange peels. Again, for those of you who are new here, this is about frugal gardening, gardening on a budget. I did a series, Gardening Over 40. And like I said, this is a limited series. And in this series, I'm going to show you guys how to kickstart your season. Things are bad price-wise. I hate it when people say, I told you so. So I'm not going to say I told you so, but you'll see starting in this episode how things are getting out of control and how getting an early start doing things now, especially some of the things that you have to do now that can't wait, it's going to save you money and save you time in the future. So I'm going to start towards the greenhouse, which is what I call my homestead hideaway hangout. And we're going to get started. I'm going to show you a couple of things, the couple of projects that I'm working on that you might also decide to tackle. And then we're going to go to the oranges. So I'm on my way to the greenhouse, and I decided to stop and show you guys this. I like to multitask. I mentioned to you some time ago about why I don't use these troughs as raised beds. I use them for water. I just got finished pumping the water out of these, and now I'm pumping the water from the other end here. This pump is very inexpensive. It's about 30 bucks. And we just recently had family over for the holidays, and there was about 6 of us for about 10 days. And that was a good chance to take that water from up here and move it around. So for those of you who have that ability to store water, even small amounts of water, this is a good time to start doing that because you get far more water in the winter than you do in the summer. This is another one of the barrels that I'm going to be emptying, and a lot of that is going into here. So let's get over to the greenhouse and get started. I'll tell you guys, prices are ridiculous. I was in Walmart the other day, and it was a prime rib, and it wasn't really that big. And that sucker was $101. So no, we're not growing livestock, but we are growing food to help offset our budgets and to keep our prices down. So here we are. Let's get started with the first project. If you guys are tired of me showing you these seeds from Dollar Tree, these 4 for $1, Don't worry, because you won't be seeing them again. And the reason is because they jacked up the price. Now, I understand the whole business with tariffs and all that. This is a gardening station, not a political station. So I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of detail about it. But I will tell you this. Every January, Dollar Tree puts out their gardening supplies. And a couple other stores are starting to do that now also. So what happened this year is these 4 for $1, they basically decided that they were going to change the price. Some might call it price gouging, but right now, instead of getting these 4 for $1, which is what, 25 cents a piece, you are now only going to get 3, and that's not 3 for $1. That's 3 for $1.50. So $1.50 for 3 bags of seeds, when before you got 6 bags of seeds for $1.50, again 4 for $1. So the amount of seed packs that you're going to get has been cut in half. Now, this company that they actually purchased the seeds from, excuse me, is the American Seed Company. And I'm going back to a video or two when I talked about the temperatures in the stores and how they may affect the germination rate. And my buddy Keisha H mentioned that she had similar issues when sometimes things that she would plant, she would get the full, she would get a good harvest from, she would get good germination rate, and other times she would get none. And I suspect that part of that reason is because after doing some research, I realized these companies do not produce their own seeds. They source them from around the world. They get their seeds from China, they get their seeds from Brazil, a lot of different places they get these seeds from. So I imagine that they sit in warehouses. I imagine that they're processed differently, shipped differently, stored differently. And that's the reason why the germination rate is spotty. Now, I have a theory, and I emphasize the word theory, that the other reason these prices are going so high is because, remember back during the coronavirus when all of a sudden everybody decided they wanted to garden. Why? Because there were shortages of certain items in the stores, because people had time on their hands, because prices were high, which they have not come back down. That's another story. But people started gardening, and if you remember, there was a run on seeds. There were seed shortages of certain types of seeds, and people basically, in certain cases, certain stores were limited to the amount of seeds they could purchase. So a lot of these seed companies lost out because they didn't have the time to replenish their stock, and the prices were already set. So, I'm sure they made a profit, but they could have made a lot more. So my theory is that what they're doing now is jacking up the price in hopes that you're going to have a lot more people gardening this spring. Why? Well, because the prices are ridiculous. Now, to just put it out there, the number of gardeners has been gradually increasing over the past year. So is there going to be a spike come spring? Who knows? I don't. But whether there's a spike or not, the prices are already going up. And this is the reason why I'm telling you guys, suggesting to you guys, get your seeds now, and to do a couple of these other things that I have been talking to you about, because that's definitely going to help save you money in the long run, because who knows what's going to happen in terms of shortages, in terms of price increases, in terms of anything that's coming down the pike that we haven't seen. So, like I said, there are other things besides the seeds that's going up. We have, the farmers, they get their potash mostly from Canada, American farmers, us guys, the farmers here in the U.S. Well, 80 to 85% of that potash, not to be confused with wood ash, that potash comes from Canada. And lately, what we've been doing, basically, the U.S. government has been pissing off the Canadian government, and that price of potash has gone up, which means, you guessed it, the produce is going to go up this summer. This is not speculation. This is not guesswork. This is stuff that's already happening, guys. So this is another reason why you should start planting early and maybe growing a little extra. So this is the first project that I want to talk to you guys about today. There are actually three, because as I mentioned to you, I'm going to give you 4, maybe 5 uses for your orange peels. But this is for potatoes. This is for another video. This is the wood ash that my frugal son-in-law has been helping me to collect. But that's going to be later on in the series. This is basically just normal nutrients that I'm adding to this because I'm going to add more soil to this. I'm going to plant these potatoes and they're going to stay in here for the rest of the winter. If you plant potatoes in the winter time, you can't be a lot of water going into them because they're going to rot. And also, you don't want them to freeze. So they need to be someplace enclosed where you don't have to worry about them freezing. So I'm going to go ahead and plant these and then add some soil on top. And maybe later on I'll add some straw and I'll just let these camp out here for the rest of the winter. This way I get a head start. That's the thing. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get everything in place so we can kickstart the spring. And once the spring takes place, we're not scrambling around. We're actually ahead of the game by a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or two, by doing a lot of this stuff now. So for the most part, I have not been adding many nutrients to my soil. I pretty much just planted it as it was. And in this case, I decided to add what I had around. This is this 3:6:4 is the ratio of NPK, and it says organic. And these are the coffee grounds that I showed you earlier. Ordinarily, I would let these dry out, but I am trying to catch up and actually get ahead because there's going to be another video in this series coming out on Monday. So I'm going to mix this in and I'm going to plant the potatoes. I'll show you, because one of the things that motivated me was these were leftover potatoes and I wanted to use them. I just hate throwing stuff away. And by the way, I might as well show you this while I was at it. When I'm talking about price increases and how prices have gotten ridiculous, this is Burpee's new catalog. Not picking on Burpee because everybody's raising their prices, but check out how much they're charging for a pack of seeds. You're paying $8 now. I don't know if you can see that. $8 for a pack of seeds. And I'm guessing because their germination rate is better. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think they have their own seeds. They don't source them from out of the country. I think they make their own seeds or grow their own seeds, harvest their own seeds, and they know where they come from. So that is probably why they can charge more money. Plus, they've been around forever. So I'm going to mix this in and plant these potatoes, and then we can move on to the next thing, which is what I'm doing with the raised crate garden, and then on to my surprise, I guess you can call it, which is what I'm doing with my orange peels. So I'm not even going to cut these up. The process, if you want to know, is called chitting. And you see what happens here. These are small these are potatoes that people would normally just toss out. We've gone over this before, but some of you guys might be new, and I'm going to spread these out. There's really quite a few for this bin. This is the reason why I chose to use a bin and not to use something smaller. So I'm going to cover these about 3 inches. And as I said before, I may end up putting some straw on these, and then we'll move on to the next project. So there you have it. This is not all the soil that I'm going to use. I'm going to add soil to this as I go along. When you plant in the ground, they have a process called hilling. After your leaves start to sprout, after your vines start to come out of the ground and they get a couple of inches, you just keep adding more soil to it. I'm probably not going to fill this. It's not going to be necessary because potatoes aren't going to grow from top to bottom. They stay fairly close to the top. So it's just a waste of time and a waste of soil. So for now, I'm not going to water these because the soil is already damp because it came from outside. We had snow, rain, we get a little bit of everything up here. So this is done for now. If you have potatoes laying around, or if you are ambitious and want to go out and pick up some potatoes, this is one of the things that you can do that will help you come spring to have food to feed your family. That's the tray. I need to get in and wash that. And we're going to do, in the next video, we're going to do a salad, but it won't be an ordinary salad. It's going to be a superfood salad. Now, you probably haven't heard that before. I'll explain, but let's move on to the raised garden and then to the surprise. So here's another thing that I'm going to be doing now in January to get ready for the spring. Again, people don't understand why you shouldn't wait until the spring to get ready for the spring. And this is one of the reasons here. This is my 6x8 foot garden, my raised garden. And it looks a mess because it is. This is loaded with creeping Charlie or creeping ivy. How do I know? Because the frugal daughter bought me this book a couple of years ago, and I looked it up. Mixed in with some other things too. But this was originally supposed to have been collard greens. You can see them mixed in here, but they got choked out. They got choked out because of this creeping Charlie. Have no idea how this got on the property, or especially how it got into this raised bed, but it's a pain in my rear end. It needs to go. It needs to go before spring. So this is kind of a bust because it's pretty much taken over. It is very invasive. Now, you're probably wondering why this box is here. This box is here. I remember when I was younger, if somebody was not what you would call helpful, sometimes people would call them useless, very useless. In this case, this is useful. This box is only about 3 inches tall. I can't use it to plant anything. So ordinarily, if you watch my series on how to garden inside a box using boxes, then you would never see me use this. It's wide enough, but it's just not tall enough. But I have about 6 of these, maybe even more. And what I'm going to do is open these, and I'm going to lay them down all around in this area here so that I can block the sun, block all kinds of light from getting in here. And then I'm going to cover it with this plastic to keep it in place, to keep the This rooster is apparently agitated about something. At any rate, I'm going to open this cardboard up. I'm going to lay these out, which is going to block the light. Then I'm going to cover it with this plastic to keep the cardboard from getting wet. And then I'll probably put something heavy like bricks or logs or something to keep it stable. And then I guess 4 to 6 weeks, this will be gone. I can come out here and I'll turn this soil and it'll be good to go for the spring. So that's another thing that the Savvy Gardener will do now, which is basically preparing your garden for the spring now. So you'll have that much less to do when the season changes. So here we are. This project is nearly completed. And what I did was basically lined or covered this entire 6x8 raised bed. I left part of this open so that you can see what I did. This is the cardboard that I used. It goes pretty much across the whole thing. There's a couple of gaps, but this will work out just fine. The reason why I'm covering this, it doesn't look pretty. It's not meant to. It's more about function and the results. So I'm going to cover this over, and I'm either going to put some bricks or some logs, or I may even use that ladder over there to hold this down. The reason for the plastic is because I don't want the cardboard to get wet. This is going to sit for the rest of the winter. It's January. I can probably take this off in about 6 weeks, but I'm going to keep it on probably much longer, probably until March or April when I'm getting ready to use it. So this, again, I have to emphasize the fact that what we're doing here is planning ahead. This is the whole premise of the Savvy Gardener, to do things now so that you're ready when planting time comes, when springtime comes. A lot of people do this in the spring, which is fine. But now, you wait till the weather gets nice to get out here to do this. And then you have to wait, 6 weeks, 8 weeks for this, well, I call them weeds, but for these plants to die off. I mean, yes, you could use chemicals, which I highly recommend you do not use. But this is the way that I can do this. It's environmentally friendly, it's free, and when it comes time for me to plant, I don't have to do anything except for just turn the soil and plant whatever I'm going to plant. Not sure what I'm going to put in here this year. Last summer, I mentioned this earlier, it was sweet potatoes. I might switch this up and put white potatoes in here and put the sweet potatoes in the other bin. But at any rate, this project is pretty much completed, and I'm going to move on to the next one. Okay, I have been excited about doing this segment. I did a video on orange peels probably 4 years ago, but I have a lot of new subscribers. So I decided to do another one. I'm going to give you 4 ways that you can use orange peels. People throw these away, and I suspect that part of the reason is because other gardeners, other content creators are not talking about it, so people don't know. So the most popular way for me is using this dehydrator. I'm dehydrating these now. That's the reason why you hear this racket over here. So I just put these in here. You basically break them up into smaller pieces, and once you have them small enough, there's no scientific size you need to be, then you put them in a dehydrator. It takes about, I don't know, maybe about 5 or 6 hours. There's different settings on this. I keep mine on high. This is not an expensive one, but it gets the job done. I've used it for years. I got this from the Frugal Daughter, gave this to me years ago, and it still works like it did the day that I first used it. So I also have banana peels in here, but that's another video. So when those get dry and brittle, I put them in a coffee grinder and grind them up, and they come out looking like this. Now, why do I grind these to a powder? First of all, they smell amazing. But second of all, I add these in my garden. I mix this in my soil because I get nitrogen, I get phosphorus, I get potassium, you get micronutrients out of this. So all of this is good for your garden, just like people use coffee grounds and, like I said, banana peels, and there are all kinds of different things that people are adding into their garden that they used to throw away. So that's number one. And number two is the obvious one, and that is to compost these. I just don't even bother to break them down any further than what they are here. You can see these are already starting to dry out because I wanted to get quite a few before I made this video. And you just chuck them right in the compost bin and they break down, and you get the same benefit from it, except for it's kind of, extended and breaks down slowly. Excuse me. So number three, I said four, but I said three, but there's more. This is for pest control. I left these large so that you can see them, but I usually use a larger bag. This is netting. Not sure if you can see that or not. And I cut these up in smaller pieces. It's best to use these as soon as you use the orange and not let them sit around for days and days. I hang these around my garden, and it does a great job of keeping the animals away, keeping the critters away. They don't like this. They don't like the smell. And it's also good for keeping away bugs like slugs and other pests that get into your garden. There's a drawback, which is once it starts to rain a couple times, then they lose their potency. So you have to kind of change them every now and then. But again, this is another free way that you can use these. So that's number three. And last but not least, there are more, by the way. I'm just going to give you four, but this is also another one of my favorites, and that's to make a tea. Basically, this is the same way you would make any other tea. You put the peels in, and you add hot water, and you just close the lid, let it simmer, and give yourself a tea. You add some sweetener to it, your sweetener of choice. Some people use sugar, honey, sorghum. There's all kinds of tea, all kinds of sweeteners you can use. And this is number four. So there are quite a few ways. I mean, people make potpourri, people make candy out of them. You can also use these for candle starters. These are highly flammable, and people use these to start campfires. So if you're going to do that, if you're going camping this summer, you might want to dry these out first, dry them out, pack them up, and use them to get your fire started. So that is something that, like I said, I don't think that a lot of people are talking about, and I think that you should use this. The way prices are these days, I'm not throwing away anything. Well, I don't throw away much anyway. So this is something that I hope you guys will do. So that's it for today. I'm the Frugal Gardener. Thanks for watching. Please, please, please share, like, and comment. And I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Don't forget what I always tell you. When you grow your own food, you'll always know where it comes from. See you in a few days.